by helping them have, because self-discipline or discipline would definitely help you towards success. But then again, discipline without action and without a certain goal that you would like to reach is still nothing. There are a lot of people who may not have developed a well-tuned self-discipline, sets of skills for self-discipline, and yet they are able to achieve. It's because it starts with having a goal. Then having a goal and coming up with certain steps and actions towards it would be the best way to establish your discipline. Discipline alone is not enough. You need to have a structure on the basis of a goal. That's why discipline should be, when we discuss it now, should be situated on establishing certain goals. What would be the goals we would like to establish among our students? And we're going to talk about the long-term goals and the short-term goals, because it will be a little too much for our students if we ask them to study now because they can be a senator or president of the Philippines in the future. A lot of students cannot think far beyond tomorrow, far beyond this week, far beyond this year. So we're going to come up with a more practical way to help them come up with certain personal goals. And at the same time, once they have identified those goals, they will be able to come up with more practicable steps to reach the goals. And these steps will be the basis for establishing self-discipline. All right, so it's a myth. Discipline alone or lack of discipline does not necessarily mean you become lazy or directionless. It's because you become lazy and directionless because you don't have a goal. All right, that's it. Now, another myth that a lot of people have would be self-discipline is hard. Yeah, it's hard to begin with because it takes a lot of effort, a lot of time for you to develop within yourself, because self-discipline becomes a way of life, more of a habit, a personal habit, what we do every day, and every day of the week, every week of the month, every month of the year. So it is difficult to begin with. At the starting point of having self-discipline and putting a structure in your life is rather difficult. But if you grew up in a family where your parents help you establish certain structures for you to have a certain order and have a certain basis as to develop your self-discipline, then it will be easy as you go along. Self-discipline alone, doing it alone would be a huge struggle for every individual. So I would suggest self-discipline is hard. It's a myth because it becomes easy as we keep on doing it. And if we have it and we do it with other people that we trust, people that we grew up with, it becomes easy. So it is a myth. We cannot let our students keep on thinking that self-discipline is hard. And if they keep on thinking and believing that it's hard, they're not going to try it and they're not going to start doing it. All right. And the third myth that we're going to bust would be self-discipline is the only way to attain success. This is in connection to statement number one, my explanations to statement number one. Discipline is a tool for us to attain success, but it's not the only way to attain success. Self-discipline perhaps will be one of the tools, but there will be other tools that we need. We need the things that we're going to discuss tonight would be emotional skills. Even if you have self-discipline skill, you have discipline, but you don't know how to interact with other people. You do not know how to control yourself. You don't have that rigor. Definitely you will not attain success. So the statement self-discipline is the only way to attain is a myth, and we are just busted it out. It's not the only way. There are other factors contributing to success. Let's now proceed to number 4. The myth number 4 says willpower is the same thing as self-discipline. No, they're not. Although willpower, as time goes by, would become habits, become part of our habits and become way of life. And once become part of our way of life, it becomes now part of our self-discipline. So willpower is your attitude that you are able to control yourself in a situation where you are faced with a certain idea that you're not supposed to do. Like all of a sudden you decided not to eat all of a sudden you decide not to eat rice, or you decide only to eat 1 cup of rice every day, just saying as an example. And and at school, a colleague of yours is celebrating her birthday, and there are a lot of food to share around. And it will take a lot of willpower for you to just eat the food that you think is healthy for you, and not to binge on carbohydrates or on rice. So that's willpower on situation. But self-discipline is higher than willpower, because you know that, okay, I have to socialize. Okay, part of my self-discipline that, okay, I'll only eat a little rice to show my respect to the birthday, not altogether saying no. So self-discipline is a higher concept than willpower, and willpower, as we continue to harness it every day in every situation that we are faced with, becomes habitual now, becomes part of our personality, and becomes part of our self-discipline skills. All right, so we're busting it. They're not one and the same. One leads to the other. All right. Next would be having self-discipline means always maintaining control. A lot of people saying that if you have self-discipline, you need to control all the situations. You need to be focused on the things that would make you focus on things that you need to accomplish, and that it entails trying to control other people's lives, trying to control situations, and you get to irritated, or you get angry when situations does not come your way the way you planned it. So having self-discipline means always maintaining control. That is a myth. We are busting this out, because discipline means you can only control yourself. We cannot control situations. We cannot control people, but we can control our emotions, how we react to people, how we respond to people, and how we will affect other people. So self-discipline is just not just controlling yourself, but being able to foresee certain situations, that if you do this, what will be the result? Now, if I can control my emotions, if I do not get angry, or if I do not say this, would they know? If they wouldn't know this, would I be pissed off because they did not do their responsibilities because I did not say anything about it? So self-discipline does not mean being able to control everything. Self-discipline means knowing that we can control our own reactions to certain situations, and being able to control how we react to people as well. So we're busting this out, and now we move on to myth number 6. Arranging, moving my chair so I can get near to the camera. So self-discipline means being devoid of emotion. A lot of people saying that you need to hide your emotions. You need to be like Lady Gaga, who should be Lady Gaga's song "Poker Face" all the time, so that you will not be emotionally engaged. And since you will not be emotionally engaged, then you will not be pestered to be out of control. Kind of like in connection to statement number 5. But what we're trying to say here in self-discipline is that we are human beings. And like any other human being, we are capable of feeling emotions, and a lot of emotions. And it's but natural for us to feel these emotions. And it will be inhumane for us, to ourselves, if we curtail our own emotions. What's important is we know when to do with these emotions, and how to control these emotions depending on situation. So self-discipline does not mean having no emotions at all. It's acknowledging. In fact, self-discipline is acknowledging that we have these emotions, and knowing how we can control these emotions to our utmost advantage. When to be too happy, when to be sad. You know that you still have a lot of things to do, and you feel like you're so tired already, and you feel like you like going to sleep, but you need to finish it. So knowing self-discipline is being able to control your emotion, knowing and acknowledging these emotions. And by acknowledging our emotions, we're able to control at a certain level our emotions, so that we will be able to focus on things that will help us reach our goals. In this case, to be short-term goals for that matter. All right, so statement number 6, Or myth number 6 is busted. And finally, the 7th myth would be self-discipline means never getting to do what you want. So a lot of people saying that for you to be a well-disciplined person is for you to uh, deprive yourself of things that make you happy, or deprive of yourself of things that other people would make themselves happy, or things that are, luxuries in people's eyes. But then again, self-discipline does not necessarily mean that you're going to deprive yourself. It is also rewarding yourself. Remember that as in myth number 1, that discipline, myth number 1 and number 3, that myth alone cannot lead you towards your success. It needs a lot of goal setting and coming up with certain practicable actions for us to take. So that means for us to be able to do self-discipline, to have self-discipline does not necessarily mean you are going to deprive yourself things. In fact, we need to give ourselves some time to relax. We're all human beings and we need a little time to relax as well. So we're busting this out because self-discipline does not necessarily mean that we never get to do what we want. So to explain all of these things, we're going to answer just 3 questions. Understand concept about discipline and learning at home. So let's begin with question number 1. Question number 1 means let's find out what is discipline. So discipline is, if you look at the origin of the word, originated from the Latin word discipulus, which means student, and another Latin word which means disciplina, which means education. So by this, we get to understand now what discipline means. A student was disciplined in education, but later on, disciplina and discipulus was merged with the English word disciple, which means follower, all right? And then it was combined together within the Old French, the word disciplina and discipulus, Latin, and then eventually evolved to the word discipline as part of the Middle English, which now means mortification by scourging oneself. So it means discipline according to the origin of the word. These are people who follow mortification by scourging oneself, so that they will be able to focus more on their education and as a student. Okay, so on that note, discipline then is the practice of making people obey rules or standards of behavior and punishing them when they do not. So a lot of people have equated discipline with, acceptable behavior and acceptable behavior based on societal standards. And then if they're not able to meet the standards like norms and mores, they will be punished. All right. And order and discipline have been placed in the hands of headmasters and governing bodies. And it was a time when a lot of commotion happening in the Philippines because of the corporal punishment, that the teachers and the teachers at school are allowed to punish physically the students as a form of disciplining the students. And of course, it was of course abolished, because we now know that there are other ways to discipline our students. And finally, if someone is disciplined for something that they have done wrong, they are punished for it. This is wrong. This is not the definition we're looking at. We would like to look at the definition of discipline for our students in the 21st century, especially with the situation that they're learning at home, would be positive discipline. All right. So it is not just any discipline at all, but it's more of positive discipline. So let's just define now positive discipline. The positive discipline approach rejects the use of violence or any form of physical punishment as a teaching tool. There are other ways to provide our students with certain discipline, and that's what we're going to. Our parents play the role of mentor and guide, and the models of the results of their performance in tests or in their quarter tests or in their performance task says that they are in a certain level, that they have acquired a level of learning or acceptable level of learning. So that is a product as a result. Also, this view emphasizes learners' active engagement in their own learning process and making sense of the world, meaning they are engaged in. They are mindfully deciding that they need to study well, they need to put a certain discipline in their lives so that they can there and and parents out there, you can utilize tests, recitations, and form of presentation or product presentation or product assessment or performance assessment as a way of disciplining your students so that it becomes their basis for learning hand in hand at school. So you can motivation for students. It's short learn. Like a good example, I would like it to module from Monday to Tuesday, because on Friday we will have a long quiz which will be delivered online. By doing that, knowing that these are the things that they need to be that are expected of them and on during Friday, and you said that on the first day, you are now one way or the other positively enforcing your students to come up with a way to be disciplined from Monday up to Thursday so that they can hurdle the learning as a product on Friday. So self-discipline can be encouraged because there's an explicit agreement between the teacher and the student that there is a product our students need to accomplish at the end of the week or at the end of the second week, or it depends on when do you give them the test or when you give them the performance. Without this clearly in their minds, and teachers starting immediately with the school year, lecturing, getting to know each other, that's good. But one of the things that you need to start with to put discipline and encourage self-discipline among your students is to tell them what are expected of them. Look at the short term first. Are there quizzes? If there are quizzes, then when are these quizzes placed in the schedule? Is it within the week, or is it for the next week? Are there things that they are supposed to be doing and they will be graded, whether you like it or not? If students know that they will be graded, it forms an idea. It starts an idea inside their head that, wait, I need to do something about it. And I have to take control of these things. And wait, if our students are not well disciplined and not knowing that learning and discipline has to do with learning as a product, by making the parents know that their kids or their children will have a quiz on Friday, parents will become more active of helping their kids come up with a more disciplined schedule from Monday to Thursday so that they can help their kids be able to pass the quiz or be able to answer the questions that the teacher will come up with during the graded recitation. So these are things that help us, lay out certain discipline in the environment, even if there's a distance between the teacher and the students. Okay? Wag lang natin gagamitin po na panakot. Pag bumagsak kayo. No, just let them know that this is the schedule and these are the things that they need to accomplish. All right? Then the decision will now be theirs and the parents. Basta sinabi nyo. Now, kayong sisisihin ngayon ng mga magulang at ng mga teachers, sabi, hindi naman sinabi ni teacher kasi na may schedule na ganun eh. So it's your fault. All right? One of the many things that we need to help our students is that knowing what is a learning as a product, what's expected of our students, all right? Another one that we need to do, students are subjects of their own learning, okay? So that's what we want our students to realize. They need to learn self-discipline via learning as a product. Students are subjects of their own learning, that if you fail the test, it was totally your own decision because you knew that on Friday we will have a quiz. And yet you did not do something about that. Now, it becomes a reflection to the parents too, because if you told the parents that there will be quizzes on Friday, and yet they did not do anything, the parents cannot blame you. It was all clear in the schedule. But if you teachers out there, you did not provide the parents and the students with the weekly schedule, but I would go beyond that. I would go for the quarter schedule if you already done with the quarter. Okay, if you're done with the quarter schedule of things for the online, for independent, for the quizzes, for the summative tests, and so on and so forth, then all the decisions will be left to the students and to the parents. All right. So kayo mga teachers, what you can do now is just to constantly remind. Okay, nagbigay na kayo in advance ko ng schedule. Tapos, constantly remind them. So now, ang maganda nga sa pandemic, distance education is ibinabalik ninyo ang disiplina at desisyon na maging aktibo sa pag-aaral sa mga magulang at sa mga estudyante. Just provide them with the schedule ahead and constantly remind them. Wag ka lang magkulang. Right. Now let's look at how we can instill self-discipline or discipline on the perspective as learning as a process. So learning as a process is changing behavior in order to produce. Now, what we want our students, if this is more of looking at motivation, right? Learning is a process because our students would like to learn something because they are well motivated. So it comes from the teacher now. Now, when we plan out our activities, it should come from one of the interests of our students. So it's very important for us when we plan out activities, be it online or modular, that we base it on the profile of our students. So one of the things that we need to consider on the first week of starting in classes or a week before the start of classes is profiling our students. We can probably come up with a document using Google Docs on a certain checklist, knowing what students love most, like what are the things that you watch on television, what are the online games you engage in, what are the social platforms, what topics usually interest you most in reading books, if not reading books, magazines, and so on and so forth. So all of these things, what are the things that you do that interests you at home and the community? If you have this profile, it will be your basis now for modifying the activities and the selection of activities you come up with for your modules. Because if our modules are not based on our students' profile, students are disengaged from the lesson. And there will be no process of, helping them control and be motivated to learn. Okay, so we're looking at now discipline or self-discipline as motivation. Okay, so teachers need to motivate the students, and the way of motivating them is to know who they are. Profiling your students is very important. You can research that online. There are a lot of online materials that you can modify and adopt, and probably modify them in Google Docs, and then do a certain survey of your students' profile, and that will be also your basis for knowing who your students are. And it's really interesting to know some of the backgrounds of your students, and you will not be doing some trial and error with your lessons. All right. Another way to look at discipline on the learning perspective as a process is that this process takes place in an environment replete with competing priorities and time pressures. So you need to come up with time pressures, meaning if your students need to accomplish an activity for 30 minutes and you say you're supposed to submit this or accomplish this at a certain time, a certain date, then you need to be fixed with that. Pag sinabi mo na, kakukolektahin ko ang inyong reflective journal on Friday, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Some of our personnel from the school will collect them at 5. Tapos, hindi pala na-collect. So ano ang message sinasabi natin sa mga bata? Ay hindi pala sinusunod. So come what may lang pala. So if we come up with those arrangements, we need to make sure that we do not falter and we do not allow that it will not happen. Otherwise, students would say, sabi lang nyo lang yun, pero kayo din pala ang walang disiplina. Remember, we go back to the positive discipline. That discipline happens because our teachers, our parents, and the people around them are actually disciplined. So if our students are learning discipline in a context outside the situation of discipline situation where, they're faced with, they are being forced to be disciplined, and yet all the adults surrounding them are not disciplined, then ba't tinasabi na, ba't ako pinapadisiplina? Wala pala kayong disiplina. Good argument. And then finally, learning is more than simply taking a class. We need to understand that a lot of learnings happen at home right now, doing a lot happening, even in, playing online games. We need to understand that. So we can use those platforms, we can use those engagements, online engagements of our students to our learning situation. We should not see all of these things as the enemy, all right? We can use this as part of our basis for coming up with more engaging activities, more engaging topics for our students. That's why I'm totally in disagreement with the president when he said he's going to ban online games. No, ang Pilipino pa naman pag sinabing bawal, lalong nagsisige. All right? All right. So let's now answer the third question for question number 1. What is self-discipline? So we know now what discipline is in general. We're now looking at discipline, the definition of discipline in the ages ago. We're looking at the discipline right now. We call it as positive discipline and how it's connected to learning. So we are connecting it to positive, to learning as a product, as a way of disciplining and instilling discipline among our students, and then having as a process, meaning coming up with a good schedule and a good activities for our students. Learning materials are very important. So if you think your students are not engaged in the learning, especially for online lecture, you teachers may want to think, did I choose the right selection? Did I choose the right pictures that trigger and motivate my students? So we need to look at the possibility that it's not just our students too, in terms of, instilling discipline. It's a two-way process. In fact, it's a multi-way concept, okay, process. Students looking at parents, students look at themselves, students look at teachers and all the adults that surround them. So what is this self-discipline? So I would like to explain this in this way. So our students definitely would like, generally I do know that a lot of students would like to finish their studies because they have a certain personal goal. And this personal goal in life is a world to them. What's just difficult for our students right now is that they have this long-term goal, but it is difficult for them to look at how to achieve that because they have problems every now and then. How can they look at these opportunities or these challenges that they're facing right now instead of looking at this, hindi para talaga sa akin ang pangarap na yon dahil ang mga nangyayari sa buhay ko ngayon ay hindi ako natutulungan para ma-achieve yung goals na yon. All right? So there's a possibility that the things that our students are facing right now somehow are deterring them from reaching their goals or maintaining their personal goals. So I'm suggesting that when you would like to help your students come up with, personal goals, I would start with short-term goals first, okay? Although you can also ask your students who they want to become, which is kind of common already, but I believe that your students already know who they want to be, and their parents also have an idea of how their kids would like to be or become in the future. Okay, these are some of the factors that contribute personal goals. But there are some distractions along the way. Would be like they feel like they don't have enough time to do things, and because they have personal things to do, they have a lot of activities at home, a lot of demands online, and peer pressures, and having cell phones is becoming more of a necessity than a luxury. During my time, it's more of a luxury than a necessity. All right, and then television. So all of these are distractions to everyday activities of our students, and it hinders them from constantly thinking about their personal goals. So what we can do as teachers and parents is that to help them reach their personal goals by looking at their short-term goals. Let them survive their daily activities. Hindi yun, ayan na naman bahala, yung mga magulang kasi mga teacher, bahala ka kung anong gagawin, paano mo gawin, basta ma-reach mong goals mo. No. It is not just making goals or personal goals or long-term goals. It is us as adults guiding our students to survive every day. What's more difficult in life is surviving daily activities. Araw-araw. Pinakamahirap yun. Pagising mo sa umaga, marami na ka nang gagawin. And so on and so forth, hanggang tanghali, hanggang gabi. That's very difficult for, for students. For adults like us, perhaps sabi nyo, ano ba naman yung mga batang yan, reklamo ng reklamo. Pero remember when you were kids, nagre-reklamo ka, ako na naman maghuhugas ng pinggan? Dahil hindi ka pa sanay nun. Diba? Ngayong adults, ayokong sabihin matanda na kasi parang sinabi ko matanda na. Yung we're already getting seasoned. I say, let's use the word seasoned. Now we're getting more mature and growing na lang, period. We get to realize na, sanay na kasi ako dahil yun ang ginagawa ko mula pagka-high school, sinanay ako ng ganon. Pero yan dapat ang ginawa natin sa mga bata ngayon. Sinasanay po natin. Alright? Masanay sila sa maraming ginagawa. Okay? So, ang teacher daw na hindi nang pabibigay ng maraming gawain sa mga bata, hindi tinutulungan ang bata na maging resilient. We're going to talk about resilience and responsibility tonight on social emotional development. But I'll just focus on discipline today. And we'll be carried on tonight at 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. So it's very important for us to understand that. On this note, by instilling discipline, by instilling self-discipline among our students, we are now helping our students to put down or shut down, or to not necessarily shut down, but to come up with a certain control over these distractions. Hindi siya natatanggal, ha? Hindi. Ang kamalian ng mga magulang ay, puro ka cellphone, itapon ng cellphone. Puro ka Netflix, tanggalin ng connection. Ang pangtanggal na yon ay hindi po ang cellphone, hindi po ang television, hindi yung orasan, hindi yung online games, hindi po yung internet ang may sala bakit walang disiplina ang bata. It's because they just don't have self-control over the use of these things, of these gadgets. So anong problema doon? Hindi mga bagay nito. Ang problema po ay ang bata at ang mga adults surrounding them. Pag sinabi po sa bahay na time po na dapat oras ito ng pagkain, dapat lahat kumakain, hindi yung isa naunang kumain, ng isa nanonood pa ng television and so on and so forth. It starts with by doing what you ask your kids to do. Tulog na, mga magulang, pati rin kayo dapat natutulog na. Hindi. Habang pinakit mo sa pagtulog, pero kayo nanonood pa rin kung anong gusto nyo panoorin. Magpanggap kayo. Ang sabi nga sa amin noon when we're at TNU, if you do not have self-discipline, to instill self-discipline among your students, pretend that you have that. Because ibabalik sa atin ng mga estudyante at ng mga anak natin na wala silang disiplina dahil wala ka rin namang disiplina. Utos ka ng utos nang nagkaroon ng disiplina, pero wala ka naman. No. Right? So, with self-discipline, our students are able to control, not destroy, or put aside all these things. They know that there's a certain time for me to watch television, a certain time for me to use that. In fact, what I do is that these gadgets, the use of these gadgets become more of a reward. Sige, pag natapos mo ang araw na to, magkakaroon ka ng isang oras or 30 minutes sa paglalaro ng Mobile Legends. It becomes more of, instead of making it more of a deterrent to self-discipline development among our students, and our kids at home, use that to our utmost advantage. Kung yun palang gusto nila, then let's make that as our reward for doing a good deed, for being able to focus on things that they need to finish first. Ang nangyari nga kasi, yun ang kanilang inuuna, gadgets. No, balik rin po natin. Unahin mo na ang responsibilidad sa school at sa bahay, then make those things that they want to do as their reward. All right. So, to simplify our answer to the questions for question number 1, self-discipline, learning, and forward, stay motivated, and take action, regardless of how you're feeling physically or emotionally. You disregard that. You set aside that. Not disregard. You set aside that because you need to finish something. You are showing it when you intentionally choose to pursue something better for yourself, and you do it in spite of factors like distractions, hard work, or unfavorable odds. You know that there are things that you need to finish first. You have responsibilities, and you choose to do it first, and then afterwards you relish the idea of being able to watch the Netflix you want to watch, the series on Netflix, becomes very rewarding. But if you do not flip the situation where, manunod muna ako, 30 minutes na lang, 30 minutes, pagpunta mo sa trabaho, parang ang bigat-bigat ng trabaho. That's what happens to your students. So kung paggising naman, ang tingin ng mga bata, inuna ng mga bata, mas prioridad na sa kanila ang mga gadgets na yan, then mahirap ang mag-aaral. Magre-reklamo mo yan. Pero kung gagawin po natin ay, unahin natin ang pag-aaral. Time for you to watch anytime you like. So kung gusto mo, kapag-aaral ka ng Monday to Friday at ang magandang results ng quiz mo sa Friday, the whole day of Saturday, the whole of morning, it's yours. Except for Sunday. Basta the whole Saturday is yours. You can do anything with your time. They will look forward to it. They will be motivated. All right? So I have highlighted all those. So let's proceed to the second to the last question, which is what is the importance of self-discipline to student learning? Let's now connect the importance of self-discipline to student learning. Okay? So simply put, if an individual has, self-discipline as a student, it improves their learning and enhances performance. They are able to focus. At first, it's difficult because nasanay nga sila na inuuna yung gusto nila, hindi yung sa pag-aaral. But as time goes by, and then they have got the hang of it. Remember, self-discipline is like doing things over and over every day, again and again, and it becomes more of a habit, and the habit becomes a way of life, and becomes part of their personality and their attitude, and therefore it becomes now, discipline, part of their self-control, self-discipline, and personality. In short, let's help them prioritize things. Yun lang naman ang kulang sa mga bata. Pero ang problema kasi sa bahay na ang tingin ng mga magulang, ang trabaho lang ng mga magulang ay mag-provide lang ng pagkain para sa internet, para sa pag-aaral, pero hindi yung pagdidisiplina. In fact, the core of being parents would be actually being parenting them and focusing more of discipline. All right? Kasi it puts in order and structure to the lives of our students. So if our students have that, improve learning and enhance performance, they will, the students with self-discipline would definitely improve their learning and enhance their performance. Why? Because they are able to prioritize things that are more important than other things. Next would be retain more knowledge than those without self-discipline. A lot of research by Stanford University and Columbia University and even Harvard came up with results. These are coming from researchers that they did for different races, for different students of different ages, up to 15 years old, from 3 years old to 15 years old. And they found out that students who have developed self-discipline can retain more knowledge. Why? Because they're able to focus on things that are more important. If you want to know more about mental, developing one's mental faculties via attending and focusing, you may want to review my session on developing enhancing memory skills via graphic representation. Okay, and then of course, if our students have self-discipline, they are more careful in their tasks, which has improved their performance. Meaning, students are able to, right now, if they have self-discipline, be able to enjoy what they're doing at school. Ang mga bata kasi na-prioritize nila ang mga bagay-bagay na mas importante muna ang school, ang dapat nilang tapusin, they're able to enjoy it. They don't complain a lot, okay? And research has also shown that measuring a person's level of self-discipline is a more accurate predictor of success than measuring the IQ. So the higher the self-discipline is among our students, the higher their academic achievement is. Research shows that. So we may want, pero alam ko pong nanonood ngayon ang mga teachers. Pero if you can observe the way I talk and the information I'm delivering, a lot of self-discipline and discipline instilling to the students are mostly parents' responsibility. So it's now a challenge for you educators out there, how you can involve the parents in coming up with, schedule. I think there were a lot of talks that we came up with Vibal on discipline since July. Now, individuals with self-discipline now becomes as professionals, it pushes them to do high quality work even when they don't feel like it. So they know that they need to work even harder. So hindi naman sinasabing workaholic sila na inubos nilang oras. It's just they know that may season talaga na pagka-busy at may season na wala. That they need to be busy here because the situation calls for it. Pero maraming mga tao na walang disiplina sinasabi, pag tapos na, bahala na yan, may oras pa rin yan. Wait, alam mo na hindi palagi ganun ang trabaho. May mga time na talagang sobrang busy, may mga time na hindi. So, self-discipline, knowing that we are able to adjust our how we adjust the situation. So we know that we cannot control situation, but we can control how we react to situation. Because if we are not self-disciplined and we're not able to adjust the situation, meaning if our students are not able to adjust the situation, not the other way around. Ang nangyari kasi, ang mga teachers na nag-a-adjust sa mga estudyante, nabaliktad po ang pangyayari. Parang mas takot ang mga teacher ngayon kasi sa mga estudyante, ang mga estudyante ay nag-aarerian. Baliktarin po natin kasi ang sitwasyon na ang ang nasusunod ay mga estudyante, we are making them probably become more intelligent, but they are not self-disciplined. And remember, without self-discipline and goal in life, they will not succeed in life. Matalino nga. Wala namang disiplina. For professionals who have self-discipline, gives them the strength to stay professional with their clients, even when to throw the towel with them. Kahit pagod na pagod sila at may nagtatanong na, ito yung mga teacher na kahit pagod na pagod sila pero may nagtanong na estudyante, they will still find time, okay, to answer those. Knowing they know that they are still needed. So yung mga ganong sitwasyon, so dapat ganoon din ng mga bata. Matutunan nila na there are times that they need to forgo some of their pleasures in life because, duty calls. Anong unahin mo? Maglaro ng Mobile Legend or kumain na kasama ang buong pamilya? Okay? Next, helps you stick with and achieve tough goals that you set for yourself. In fact, a lot of research shows that individuals of self-discipline become more successful with their career in life because they're able to come up with their own schedules and their own timeline, and they stick to the timeline. And if things don't go their way, they still have plan B. And then if plan B does not go their way still, they still have plan C. So that means they are planners, knowing that they know that they cannot control situations. So they come up with ways how to become successful in different situations. Very nice. All right. And enables them to keep going through great success. Ibig sabihin, pag na-reach nila yung success, hindi sila mag-aayay. Alam nila, they have to maintain it and continue with that. A lot of people have superficial self-discipline. Pag na-reach nila yung goals, end na, tapos na, hayahay na, complacent na sila. They don't create new goals in life so that they can maintain their discipline and structure and order in their life. So that's it. So let's now answer, how do we develop self-discipline? Very simple, choose a goal. I've been mentioning again, self-discipline should be in the context that you have a goal in life. Sir, paano kung na-reach na namin and create new goals? What's important in this life is that we always have a white horse to run after. All right? Hindi pag na may nagawa ka na ng isa, na-reach mo na to, anak, kaya short time, anak, kailangan makapasa ka this school year, this Friday ng test mo. Ano susunod? Dapat mapasa mo naman yung summative test mo sa next week. Nakapasa ka. Pasa naman natin ang yung ang quarter mo. At looking at that, choosing a goal means partnering with adults at home. Okay? Kailangan meron talaga nga alalay sa ating mga estudyante. Okay? Next would be find your motivation. We need to know anong motivation ng mga bata. Kung ang motivation nga ng mga bata ay Jollibee. Sige, pagkatapos kumain may Jollibee tayo. Ang gusto nila ay makapaglaro man lang ng, gusto ko kasi maglaro ng aking Barbie doll. Okay, pag napasa mo yun, maglalaro tayo kasama si Mami na maglalaro o si Daddy maglalaro ng Barbie mo sa Friday night. Kasi gusto ko manood ng paulit-ulit ang pamangkin ko manood ng Aladdin yung Disney na Aladdin. Sige, manonood tayo kahit ang gastos. Sige, pero kailangan. But it's a reward. But when you promise that this motivation as a form of, of instilling discipline, kung sinabi natin na yun talaga ang ibibigay mo as part of, then bigay po natin. Kasi later on, pag sinabi mo, it will not become a motivation for our students anymore. Okay? Next would be identify obstacles. Ano yung mga obstacles po natin? A lot of students would be ang pinakauna na obstacle sa mga bata ay yung pagtulog ng maaga, especially during school days. So, yan ang una-una natin titingnan. But remember that identifying the obstacles does not necessarily mean that idudul-dul mo. Kasi hindi ka natutulog ng tamang oras. Dapat daw form of question. So, parents and teachers, so why were you not able to wake up on time? Why were you late for your online class? Teacher, kasi hindi pa ako nagising na on time. Why? What was that? What's the reason why you were not able to wake up in the morning? Kasi late na po ako gabi natulog. Wow. Huwag mo sabihin, late ka na pala natulog. No, you need to go to the root. Why did you sleep late last night? Kasi po naubusan ako kasi nga, sabi ko, isang oras, isang game na lang sa Mobile Legends. Kaya lang, nanalo ulit ako, laro ulit ako. Hindi ko nalaman na, so next time, pag sinabi mo na isang laro na lang. Okay? So you have to stick with that. Hindi sinasabi, as parents and as educators, we need to help our students control their own personal obstacles. Personal obstacles. Hindi ba sinasabi mo? Kasi, hindi yung we resort to chastising them. We need to ask them personally, what are their hindi, tanggalin mo. Huwag ka na maglaro ng Mobile Legend. Itago yung cellphone na yan. Naku, lalong hindi yan mawawala yan ng motivation. Let us, ang sabi nga sa discipline is not, destroying or taking out all of these obstacles. It is having control over the use all of these obstacles. All right. Then we have replace old habits. Once we identify obstacles, so kasi po o then itong gawin natin. May cellphone ka naman na Kung sinabi mong isang game na lang, maglagay ka ng alarm clock. Alarm clock. Tapos ang alarm clock na yan, ilagay mo sa malayo, tumayo. Yung pagtayo mo kasi, pagtayo mo at pagsarado mo ng alarm clock na yan, nagkakaroon ng disconnection ng utak mo sa ginagawa mo. So pag ang bata, kunwari na busy sa kachat-chat sa online, tapos ang alarm clock nandoon sa may malapit sa pintuan, kailangan niyang tumayo dahil palakasan mo ng talaga, bahala siya hanggang marindi siya. So kailangan niyang tumayo. Pagtayo niya, there is what we call as attention disengagement from the activity. So ang bata, pagbalik niya, nawala na siya ng ganang bumalik sa kanyang activity. So makikita niya kung ano dapat gagawin. So we learned all of these things that how we can help our students. We call them as attention disengagement activities. Okay, monitoring your progress. So, turuan po natin ang mga magulang, pati mga teachers po natin na constantly po tinatanong po natin ng mga bata na so what's now? So, have you studied your assignments? Remember, constantly reminding them. Have you studied for Friday? Have you reviewed your notes that we discussed Tuesday morning, and so on and so forth? So by constantly reminding them and looking at whether they're doing what they're supposed to be doing to reach the goals would also help them, think about how they can control their own time and come up with their own ways to discipline themselves. So discipline per se is nothing if it's not geared towards controlling oneself. So babalikan po natin na tinutulungan natin ang bata para makontrol niya ang mga urges sa buhay niya. Right? So let's now have the last question. What can families do to establish discipline at home conducive for student learning? I only have, I'm almost done. So tamang-tama po kasi hanggang before 3:20 dapat tapos na ako. So okay. So what can families do to establish discipline at home conducive for student learning? So educators, you may want to take note of this. These are the 5 things that I have done in me as a teacher, and somehow some of my students have been helped to do this. So I do talk to some of the parents, but not all students. Ang ginawa ko nun, nag-identify lang ako ng mga estudyante na talagang kailangan tulungan sa disiplina. Kasi may mga estudyante naman na may mga disiplina na. That's why it's very important for teachers, for us educators, to identify students who do not have discipline. Okay? Yung walang mga self-discipline, yun lang ang tutukan po natin. All the rest, hindi kailangan. Although, yung sinasabi ko sa inyo kanina na yung schedules, yung paglalagay ng schedules ng mga tests and so on and so forth, ay yung learning as a product, as basis for instilling self-discipline among students, should be given to all. Pero, despite all of this, giving the schedules in advance, all of this scheduled tasks, performance tasks that they need to accomplish, and the parents knowing all of this, and still our students are failing, and yet you know that discipline is not yet developed among your students, some of your students, then come up with this activity. Help the parents, help their kids develop self-discipline. And these are the 5 steps that I think would be able to help our students. Number 1, help children make long-term goals. All right. So you need to help we need to help our parents understand that life is always a constant struggle, and life is a journey, and along the way we'll always have obstacles in life, and mistakes would always be normal. Wala pong tao sa mundong ito na hindi nagkakamali. What we need to help our students is that nagkamali ka lang o kaya hindi mo nag-reach yung goal mo lang isang beses, dalawang beses, doesn't mean you need to stop. Bahala, you're gonna throw the concept of self-discipline out of the window. Hindi. Pero kasi normal yan sa mga tao, sa mga estudyante na pag nagkamali na, di na-reach yung goals niya, ay tama na. So what we can do is, get the idea across first. Huwag mong ipagsigi sa mga bata. Huwag mong sasabihin na wala kang disiplina. Naku, awa yan. Masasaktan ng mga bata. Sa utak ng mga bata, may disiplina sila. Sa utak nila yan. Okay? Naniniwala sila, may disiplina sila. Hindi lang nila alam na mali nga lang. Okay? So, do not force the idea of how they should be disciplined or what form of discipline they need to come up with. But it always, again, it starts in the family. So educators, you need to tell the parents that parents need to get the idea of having goals in life across their to their kids. So start the process by looking for ways that their child already use goal setting techniques like saving up money, like saving up money, yung mga ganon. O kaya yung mga bata, ay magbabasketball kami ng mga barkada ko mamayang ano. O sige, magbabasketball ka, tapos siguraduhin mo muna, tatapusin mo lahat ng mga pag-aaral mo ngayong araw na to. So, support what kung nasabi yun ng anak nyo o ng anak nila na ito yung simpleng gagawin nila, that's a short-term goal. Okay? Yun ang gusto na ng bata. Ganun naman ang mga estudyante ngayon. Yung mga short-term na naiisip. Pero, connect that to their long-term goal. O, sige. Yan ang short-term goal mo. O sige, i-connect natin sa long-term. Sige, tapusin mo lahat ng mga modules mo ngayong araw na to, then makakapag-basketball ka mamaya. So, binigyan ang kanyang short-term goal niya, naging reward na para ma-reach yung long-term goal na makatapos sa pag-aaral. Ganon. Hindi ang ginagawa ng mga magulang ay, sige, subukan mo lang maglaro ka ng basketball, ha? Lintik na bola na yan, tutusukin ko yan. Nako. That is bad. We're not supposed to use the motivation of our students, of our kids against them. Kung alam po natin yun ang nagpapamotivate sa kanila, then use that to our utmost advantage. Gawin po nating motivation yan para sa kanila. Let's use that as a reward. Yan ang sinasabi na get the idea across. Gamitin mo yun. Manipulahin mo. Ang tawag natin to ay reverse psychology in a way. Alright? Next, start small. Help your child think of fun goals you could achieve within a short time. Halimbawa, meron ako kasi nun sa pamangkin ko kay Tefi. Okay, what do you want for your birthday next? So you can have this and that and all. So sinulat niya, sinabi niya sa akin, all right, very good. But you need to promise me that you should be within the top 10. Wag mo na ng top 1. Ang hirap nga naman nun eh. Ikaw nga, di ka nga ba top 1 nang nag-aaral eh. Tapos yung mga anak mo, dinidemand mo. So start ka muna, I want you to be the top 10. Okay? Top 10 sa first. Ganyan. Little by little. O kaya kung gusto mo, alam mo namang hindi naman ganun pakagalingan ng anak ninyo. Nagsisimula pa lang naman sa disiplina. Okay, I want you to pass all your subjects this first quarter. Start small muna kayo. Okay, yung manageable muna. On that note, so pwede kang pag magtaas ang grade mo or pasado ka lahat ng subjects mo this first quarter, I'll give you your first gift until your 8th birthday. So you'll have your first gift. Mga ganun ba? O kaya kung gusto ng bata, I want to watch Lion King, then use that as a short-term goal for them. Okay, you want to watch that on Friday night. Okay, here's what you're gonna do. You're going to pass the quiz on Friday morning on mathematics. Problema, kinakausap pa ng mga magulang, ng mga anak. Communication is a key. Next, let them choose. Some goals require more input from you, but it's best to let your child decide what she wants to achieve. A good example would be, so, what do you want to do by, for Saturday and Friday? Would you like to watch the television? Would you like to play with or you would like to go to your cousins and play with them? So let them choose. Come up with choices. And if you don't have a lot of choices and your kids still have other things that they think that they want to do, then use that. The point there is that self-discipline means allowing your kids to have a control of what they want. But if what they want is not really gearing towards the long-term goal because it's very self-centered, then try to suggest. Kaya get the idea across. Itong tatlong to. Alright? So, ang tawag ko kasi doon ay budol-budol eh. Binubudol-budol ko yung mga bata. Madali naman silang budol-budulin. Pero to their own game po, not to ours. To our own. To their own game eventually. Okay? Halimbawa, sige, maginis ka ng kwarto mo and then we can watch television or we can eat ice cream. Yun ang ginagawa ko. Ang kids love short-term goals. And then they love the idea that they are able to choose what they want. Pero kontrolado mo naman ang choices. Okay? Next, help children find their motivation. Saan ang gagaling motivation? Be alert for possibilities. So, halimbawa during, ngayon ko lang naalala na yun palang ginagawa sa akin ng mother ko noon na habang during discussions namin sa dinner, she was listening to kasi madaldal po talaga ako ng bata pa ako, so bagay siguro halata naman ngayon. Kinukuha niya ako ng mga pinagsasabi ko kasi at that time na ano pa ako, I was so engrossed with Transformer toys. Okay? Nung narinig niya yan, sabi niya, sige, magkano ba kailangan malaman mo kung magkano yung toy na gusto mong bilhin. So, nung after ng classes ko nung nasa Divine Word kami noon, after my classes, my mom accompanied me to Gaisano, sa Tacloban noon, sa Gaisano. And then, tinignan namin kung magkano yung Transformer toys. At that time was 300 pesos. Siyempre, panahon namin, ang mahal-mahal ng 300. Sabi ng mother ko, so, when do you want that toy? And I said, gusto ko sa birthday ko, sa Christmas, yan po ang aking So, my mom said, okay, so if you save 2 or 5 pesos every day from your allowance every day, kasi nga ako naman kasi lahat ng allowance ko ubos-ubos kasi pagkain. Okay? Sabi niya, you can buy that. Now, if you buy this toy, nakapag-save ka, okay, may surprise sa akin. Okay? So the idea there is that my mom was actually listening to what I wanted, and then she used that to the utmost advantage to help me come up with a self-discipline. Magkaroon akong disiplina. Simple lang, mag-save lang. Bibili ako sana ng scrambled bang tawag yung juice na sa plastic ang ginaganon nun. Masarap. Scramble atang tawag ng scramble. I would have to save. Sabi ko, maghihintay na lang ako sa bahay, inom na lang ako ng malamig na tubig para ma-save ko yung 5 pesos ko, and so on and so forth, para makapag-save ako. So this kind of conversation with me and my mom helped me come up with a form of discipline, make discipline a willpower towards self-discipline for me to be able to control myself in order to put aside what I wanted but focus more on the goal that I want to achieve. So parents must be alert and teachers must be alert to these possibilities. Then show them how. Kagaya na ginawa ng mother ko sa akin na nagsisave din siya. Yung pala, kung yung 5 piso na pagsisave ko, tinutumbasan niya. Alright? Tapos, yung pagdating ng Christmas, ewan ko yung mga kapatid ko siguro inisip nila na akong paborito ng maming namin kasi nga ganun ang nangyayari, nagdadalawa yung toys ko. So, tinutumbasan ng mother ko ng another toy with the same amount. So, mas lala akong nainganyo nun. Okay? So, na-inculcate sa utak ko na whatever I want in life and I focus on it, magagawa ko yun. Tapos, mas doble pa ang makukuha ko. So, well, yun ang nangyari sa buhay ko. If our parents are like that, instilling among our children this kind of idea, then our kids will have their self-discipline. Kasi ang disiplina para sa akin kasi is the environment. And if we have an environment that promotes discipline, kids develop self-discipline. Pero kung wala namang disiplina sa environment, ang mga magulang din sinusuporta na ang disiplina ng mga anak, hindi mo na-motivate, wala pa. May mga magulang sasabi, save kayo, mamaya susungkitin mo rin yan ba niya? Huwag na kayo mag-save. Sila din pala ang napapagod para sa mga anak nila. No, that's part of it. Part of instilling discipline among our children, among our students, is knowing also that we need to support that. I know it's difficult, but that's the responsibility of adults. So adults to help our children, to help our students become more disciplined and acquire self-discipline. Third, help children identify their obstacles. Provide a reality check. Baka naman ang gusto nila, gusto ko makapunta na ako ng Disneyland. Uncle, gusto ko si Tefi nun. Sabi niya, Uncle, what I want for December is snow. Patay tayo dyan. Sabi ko, paano kaya may bigyan ng snow to? Sabi ko, kasi nga, that was the rage, dude. 2013 ata, it was the rage of Frozen. So, she got so fascinated with snow. So, sinabi ko na lang sa kanya na we'll go somewhere where it's going to be cold. So punta kami ng Mall of Asia, tapos may skating rig na malamig doon na nag-skate na nakita niya kasi si Elsa na may skate na, oh, it's Elsa. So ganun na lang, reality check. So an alternative to that, hindi mo sabihin, ano ka? Mag-snow? Gaga ka pala eh. Kung mag-isip ka kung saan, wag namang ganun. Let's come up with other alternative reality check. So point out the challenges and the dedication it requires. The idea isn't to make the goal seem too undaunting, but rather to share in the seriousness of the undertaking by helping plan it out. To share. Hindi ibabagsak mo na, anong pinag-iisip mo? May mga ganyan mga magulang eh. Binabagsak na, nakapag-isip. Dapat oportunidad na yon para kausapin ng magulang at ng mga magulang ang mga anak para i-push at magkaroon na, use that as a motivation for kids. Hindi eh. Nagsisimula pala yung idea, binagsak na agad. Very wrong. Okay? Next, applaud. Kahit gaano yung, kunwari ngayon, kasabihin ni Lisa sa akin, Uncle, I was able to save 5 pesos. Tapos kukun niya, tapos pakita niya ganun sa akin ng kanyang alkansya. I would clap, very good, Isha. And then I will kiss her and hug her, ganun. So these are things that, simple things that can make our children, our students, well, hindi man pwedeng gawin ng mga teachers yan. So these are the things that we can help the parents of our children, of our students, help our students come up with self-discipline at home. Kaya ang topic nga dito, at home, di ba? So kung nasa school pa yan, pwede natin, di ba, we always applaud our students' responses, okay? And then guide if the responses are wrong. So ganun din po dapat ang gagawin natin sa mga magulang, pag may nagawa pong tama, or hindi naman kahit tanong pa, sa nagawa niya na natapos niya ang kanyang online session ng 1 oras or 50 minutes, palakpakan. Oh, very good. Kahit sa tingin mo sa utak mo, dali-dali lang naman yun. Madali para sa ating mga adults, pero sa mga bata na ang iniisip ay para makapag-nood ng TV, ang hirap na struggle yan. So we have to praise them and applaud for such an effort. Okay? Number 4, help children replace their old habits. So, help them to substitute for their bad habit. Kaya sinabi ko kanina, ano yung obstacle ng bata? Yung para sa kanya, hindi yung para sa atin. Hindi, kasi kulang ka talaga ng ganito eh. Kulang ka ng disiplina eh. Kulang ka ng disiplina. Bakit nga nagkulang? Anong problema nun? So, identify the root. So, alam mo pala eh, dahil kasi nakipagdaldalan ka sa kaibigan mo. Oh, so yun ang rason. So, kung mo sabihin, mula ngayon, babawal ko na ang pakipag-usap. Wag. It's okay naman makipag-usap ka sa kaibigan mo. Pero make sure that if you know that hanggang alas 6 lang, ha? Okay? Yun ang sinasabi ko pag kagaya nung si Tefi na nawala bigla, talagang sabi ko 6 o'clock dapat nang sa bahay na kasi. Tumating alas 7, nandun na ako sa sala naghihintay. Sabi ko, Tefi, you go to my room upstairs to the 3rd floor. We're going to talk. Alam niya na yan. So pag akat sa 7, what did I tell you? What time are you supposed to be inside the house? I did not forbid you to go to your friend's house and play there. I told you 6 o'clock kasi mag-dinner na tayo. Uncle, kasi hindi ko nakita ang oras and so. But you promised. Okay? Ang punto kasi sa conversation, pero natuto kasi nga, alam niya, sabi ko, ito sa conversation between, someone, an adult, supervising, instilling discipline. Ganun dapat ang mga magulang. Ako nga, hindi ako magulang, pero that's how I deal with my pamangkins. Okay? So, hindi nila alam na may consequences na kanilang mga actions. But the consequences not necessarily have to be punishment per se, but it could be, a conversation, a serious conversation with them, and then analyzing it. And that's an effort. It is. Kasi nga, kakain niya ng oras na dapat, sa utak ko, dapat nagagawa na ako ng mga dapat para sa trabaho ko. Pero I'm still talking to this child right now na dapat trabaho to ng someone else and so on. But then again, it's all the adult's responsibility to help. It's not the responsibility of the mother or the father, but all the adults that surrounds the child at home. It becomes everyone's responsibility. Next, guide them to cut out as many triggers as possible. Alam mo na kung maraming trigger ng kanyang misbehavior, edi bawasan. Hindi tanggalin, ha? Okay? Guide them to cut out as many triggers as possible. Hours, perhaps. Look at the time, perhaps. So cut out some of the time for that. Bawasan ng konti. Hindi tanggalin, ha? Bawasan. Okay? Next, let them join forces with somebody like with their siblings or close friends. it motivates our kids to replace certain habits. Mas maganda kung with certain friends. So it's better that you know your children's friends as well, or para sa mga teachers, mas magandang may kasama ang bata na halimbawa, ang estudyante to walang disiplina, ipapartner mo siya sa may disiplina kasi namamodel ng may disiplina yung walang disiplina. Kaya lang there are situations na yung walang disiplina, yung pa mas confident, yung may disiplina na yung pa yung nagkakaroon ng walang disiplina. So, kailangan titingnan po ulit natin ang mental at yung personality ng may disiplina. So, yung madaling kasi may confidence is not necessarily may disiplina ng tao. So, may mga tao ng confident pero walang disiplina. May mga tao na may na disiplinado pero walang confidence. So we need to look at the partnership in terms of the level of confidence. Okay? Confidence level. Number 4, allow your child to surround herself with people who live the way they want to live. Yung sinasabi ko pa, they should be surrounded by people who support that kind of idea of discipline. So we cannot expect our kids, our children, our students to be disciplined if they are always with people who are not disciplined, or those people who do not have goals in life. So similarly, if our students are growing up or are in homes and families where the members of the family do not have goals, in life, then that's a huge problem. So what do? Help them with that. Okay, so I only have the last 10 minutes. Oh, don't worry, it's almost there at the end. So make them visualize themselves succeeding, plan for failure to help them think of alternatives. So palagi may plan A, plan B, plan C. So the idea of having help to replace your old habits is the word help. Kasama po tayo doon. It's a journey together. Okay, finally, help children monitor their progress. Constant conversation, constant monitoring, constant reminder is the key to helping our students come up with, develop self-discipline. So review the goal with your child. Again, baka nakalimutan nila, di ba gusto mo makapasa? O di ba gusto mo maganda? So constant reminder would help our students, be focused and be guided again towards their goal. Ask your child for suggestion or ask your students for suggestion. So hindi pala kaya. So anong suggestion mo? So baka meron silang magandang idea how to be able to correct themselves. Okay? Help them envision the benefits. Kung makuha mo to, may toy ka na, anong kaganda, anong mararamdaman mo? Nakuha ko lang saya-saya kasi I love it. I will put that here, then I'll put a blanket on it. So by doing that, by visualizing it, it replenishes again the will of the child, the willpower of the child or the student to continue on with the goals and having a discipline in life. Another one is sharing your childhood frustrations. Kagaya ng ginagawa ko, like when I was a kid, I wanted to have this kind of toy, but I had difficulty doing that. But what my mom did, mga ganyan. So sharing, I get to make the students, your kids and the students realize that pinagdaanan nyo pala yon, so kaya ko pala din yon. Okay, compliment him or her, ba? And then don't use threats or bribes. Sige, pag hindi nyo ginawa to, ibabagsak kita. Huwag na. Isusumbong kita kay teacher. Huwag pong ganun. Positive discipline. Modeling, conversation, and constant communication. All right. With that, I'm now ready to answer questions from our viewers. I know na medyo hanging po. I still have a session this evening at 7 to 8, which is a continuation of my topic today, but this time I'll focus more on discipline towards, it's now discipline or managing behaviors at home via social, emotional development and learnings at home. So, Jillian, do I have questions?
Yes, Brother Ricky, have some questions here from our viewers. First po is from Mr. Jomel de la Cruz. Good afternoon po, sir. Being the para-teachers, how can working single parents address the challenges that might be encountered in imposing discipline to children learning at home?
Actually, that's a huge task for a single parent at home. Let's look at in this situation. If the parent is alone raising the child and there are no other people supporting them, kanino may iwan ng bata sa bahay? Hindi naman pwedeng iwan ng nanay o yung tatay na mag-isa ang anak niya sa bahay. So I'm pretty sure na meron siyang kasama sa bahay. Kung walang kasama, Hindi pwedeng hindi nga. Ay, alangan iwan mo yung, especially kung hindi pa adult ang bata, siya lang sa bahay. So, I'm pretty sure yung mga single mothers out there, meron din silang katulong sa bahay. May mga kasama, kung hindi man niya kasambahay, siguro yung mama, ang papa, and so on so forth, tita or tito. So, importante mayroong kang kasuporta. Not necessarily a father figure or mother figure that, needs to be there to as part of being a parent or so on and so forth, but someone who could, instill the things that you have discussed together with your child. So kailangan, pag pinag-usapan ninyo na sinabi na ganitong oras ay dapat nag-aaral ka, kung sino man ang naiwan sa bahay, yun ang susundin. Hindi yung, may mga iniwan kasi ang mga magulang ng single moms or single dads sa bahay, minsan ang mga nagbubuyo sa hindi pagsunod sa schedule ay yung mga naiwan sa bahay. So it is very important for us, for single parents, that whoever our support system at home would also share the same kind of schedule and follow the same rules and regulations that the parent and the child and the teachers have considered and agreed on that the child should follow the whole week. And then turuan dapat din na suportahan na DNO ko. Sige mamaya, pagkatapos mo, pag nakafocus yan, manonood tayo. Hindi, sige manood muna tayo. Kung ano ang training para sa isang magulang, na yung ginabinigay natin dito, at para sa mga teachers, ganun din dapat ang knowledge na dapat alam ng isang naiwan na katulong o kasambahay or lolo't lola sa bahay. Okay? So that would be my answer to that.
Thank you so much po. Next question po is for Mr. Felix Ray M. Igual. How can discipline be attained at home by students with empty stomach, where both parents are hard to find jobs to support the daily needs of the family, living in the new normal way of life?
I understand. I think your question is coming from the Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that they're not able to find a certain level of security and discipline among themselves because the parents are focused on satisfying their basic needs. I do agree. It's really difficult to come up with discipline, especially if kids do not have, sufficient food to stuff in their stomachs and to suffice the hunger that they feel. Totoo po, the discipline cannot come out. The discipline will be difficult if the basic needs are not met. So it's very important for us to come up with. Meron po sa DSWD naman kasi meron sa DSWD po na mga support system na binibigay po sa mga poorest of the poor na ganito. Hindi lang siguro top. So ito po yung sinasabi ko na in my previous topics, that these are things that are beyond the control of teachers. And if teachers know all of this, pwede nyo po kasing i-recommend yan sa DSWD, if not DSWD and local government. If hindi pa rin po nagawa ng paraan, ask yourselves, am I capable of providing these kids with their basic needs? Ngayon, kung hindi naman po, kaya naman po siguro, meron ka mga kilala, then do it. Pero remember, you also have to concede that there are things that are beyond your control. And I know as much as you'd like to help this families and so on and so forth, kung hindi mo naman kaya talaga, so hindi nag-refer ka, walang nangyari, nagdasal ka, wala pa rin nangyari, hindi ko na alam talaga kasi dapat trabaho yun ng DSWD. Hindi naman kagaya po sa amin sa Sisters of Mary kasi we take care of the children. So, ang pag-aaral ng mga bata, focus talaga kasi nga nandun sila sa loob ng school namin at they're taken care of. So, their basic needs are taken care of. So, they're able to focus on a well-disciplined structure every day and they're able to focus on their studies. So, totoo ka po sir, kung wala po talagang hindi na-meet ng basic needs ng mga bata, especially the parents, ang hirap po i-develop ang self-discipline or discipline at home. They will be chaotic. Their minds are chaotic. Their focus in life, their focus on studies would be chaotic. Support po. If it's possible lang, yun po ang masasuggest ko lang po talaga. If you have identified kids like this, please do refer them to DSW. We have what we call MSW, that's Municipality Social Worker. I definitely know that a lot of MSWs have done a lot of survey in the community, knowing what families need more help in terms of these needs. So, kung nandun po sila sa listahan, aba, imposible na walang tulong sa gobyerno. Meron po yan. Kung hindi naman po, you can ask them to enroll themselves in the 4Ps program. Meron naman tayo mga ganung programa. Again, what I'm saying is that there are things beyond our control. But we can do support via referrals. And if kung may oras tayo at may time po tayo at may pera po tayo extra at we would like to help, you can. But I think it's just a short-term solution to the problems of the parents, not a long-term solution. So it's the local government who would, support that. So I'm sorry, but I would have to tell you as an educator that these situations, as much as you would like to do something about it, you can refer, but it's beyond your control. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Well, last question po is from Mr. Edwin Gallardo. Could PM po, Sir Roderick, how can discipline be possible nowadays that we have so many existing laws about disciplining pupils which later can threaten the teacher?
I know, yun pong sinasabi ko nga, these laws should be reviewed in the light of developing our students come up with, certain discipline at home. Because of this laws that are in place, somehow nawalan po ng pangil, nawalan po ng right ang mga teachers, at ngayon nga merong bill na sinusulong ngayon sa Kongreso at sa Senado na no corporal punishment at home. Ako naman po, I'm against physical punishment and all, pero I would suggest po kasi na instead of these laws na prohibiting parents and teachers doing all of these things, I would suggest a law that would support discipline or developing discipline among children via the help of the parents and the teachers. Ang nangyari kasi prohibit, pero asan ang support? So I would go for laws that would, support the parents and support the teachers on that. So let me answer now your question na anong magagawa namin mga teacher? Kami ngayon na may kasalanan pag nagpa-disiplina kami sa mga magulang, sa mga bata. No corporal punishment, no physical punishment. Huwag muna kayo magbabagsak and so on and so forth. Ang sinasabi ko nga po is yung what we call as positive discipline. Become a model of it and ask the parents to be a model of it. Tapos provide everything in advance. Yung mga schedules. So very important po kung kailan po mga schedules ng mga tests and so on. So tawag po natin ng timeline ng schedules. And we follow that. And constant reminders. Hanggang doon po tayo talaga. Hindi natin kasi pwedeng discipline na pwedeng sigawan. Bawal na pong sigawan ng mga bata. You call that as emotion. Meron pong anti-bullying act. Tapos may cyberbullying pa. Kung kayo makita nila at ma-screenshot pa ng mga magulang ang mga comments mo lang. We have to be very careful because lalo wala ng protection ng mga teachers ngayon sa mga laws. Ang criminal lang ngayon ng teachers. Pag tayo pa ang magdisiplina sa mga bata, tayo pa ang kriminal. So what we can do is ibalik po sa mga magulang ang sa lipunan ang pagdidisiplina. Kung tinanggal nyo sa mga teacher, edi sa inyo na ang maraming responsibility. Kasi ang ating responsibility as teachers right now is just to remind, put a certain structure in terms of learning and learning goals and learning discipline by learning product and learning sa process. And then coming up with a schedule and constant reminder, praises and all. Beyond that, trabaho na po na magulang at lipunan. Tinanggal po sa atin eh. May magagawa ba tayo? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering the questions of our viewer. Of course po, you can give down your final reminders to our viewers today po.
Definitely. Just reminding you and summarizing and putting together all the things that we have discussed, just more of a reminder and a challenge for us. So self-discipline means regulating oneself and making corrections to one's thoughts and behaviors in order to improve oneself. So in short, it's more of teaching our students to have a metacognition. So maganda din po ang practice sa amin ngayon, tinuturuan po kami mag-regulate ng aming thoughts, ng aming emotions via journal writing. Noong panahon namin, tawag ng diary, may diary pa kami, may lambok pa kami noon. I'm asking the society to bring those back. Yung scrapbooking, yung yung journal writing, diary making. Naalala ko pa nung panahon na merong stationery na nag-exchange siya. It helps develop a certain motivation for kids to interact with other kids at magkaroon po ng how to save at mag-collect ng mga ganito. At may mga ano pa kayo, mga play cards kami noon and so on and so forth. So I'm asking that we bring back those kind of activities to help our students be able to regulate their own emotions and thoughts and actions. So the diary would be nice. Kung ayaw mo ng diary po, scrapbooking is a thing right now. There is what we call as electronic scrapbooking. You may want to explore that e-scrapbooking. So that would be nice for our kids to have them, track what they've been doing every day. Next, for students, this can mean keeping focus on their assignments or discussions, not getting distracted during lectures or times of study, and making sure that they keep track with deadlines. Meaning, we provide rewards. Okay, we provide rewards of students who give effort to focusing on their studies. All right, and this is essentially, especially important once you enter college. We need to help our students be able to understand that kahit itong mga responsibilidad na to, itong pagiging busy ng elementary mo, mas lalong magiging busy hanggang tumataas ang iyong grade level. Pagdating mo sa college, mag-isa ka na lang. Wala na magre-remind sa inyo. Kanya-kanya na po yan. Di kagaya sa elementary at high school that the teachers and parents will keep on reminding you. Pero pagdating mo sa college at you're on your own when you are working, it's basically yourself regulating your own actions, your thoughts, and your emotions. So dapat nare-realize ng mga bata yan. Pero again, constant communication. Finally, learn self-discipline. While learning this self-discipline is not natural to everyone, it is a skill, okay, that can be developed and learned in order to increase success as a student. So, self-discipline are sets of skills. So, kagaya ng pinakita natin, distraction, pagtanggal ng distraction, focus, setting goals, and so on and so forth. That's a skill. So, kailangan i-guide natin sila in developing the skill. Self-discipline, hindi yung nag-decide ka lang na bukas disiplinado ko na, it cannot be. It's a journey. It's a process, right? All students need a positive attitude, a good understanding of their strengths and weaknesses, and a clear plan to stick to. Ibig sabihin, it's very important for us to guide our students and ask them what they want, not imposing what we want for them. So instilling discipline among our students, the key I could suggest the key of it all would be talking to kids. Marami kasing mga adults na parang naubos ang oras ko eh. Ang simple lang naman ng mga ideas ng mga bata, parang, but that's how it is. Listening to them. Sabi nga ulit nung nag-aaral ako nung sa early childhood ko nun, even if you don't know children, it's just because they need to feel that the adults are listening to them, no matter how nonsense it may seem to adults. You have to pretend that you are listening to make them feel they are important in your lives. With that being said, thank you very much. And I'll hope to see you tonight on how we can help our students develop social-emotional skills at home. And it's a continuation of my topic for this afternoon. Thank you very much. And hope you can go back to your work without thinking about so much about a lot of problems about our students. So get time to relax.
There we have it. In behalf of Vibal Group Incorporated, I would like to thank you, Brother Ricky, for being our speaker this afternoon, for giving our viewers an insightful, inspiring, and comprehensive learning session. It is truly an honor to have you always with us, po. And to all our Kabibal viewers, all thanks to you for your continuous patronage to our daily learning session. Just like Brother Ricky said a while ago, we'll see you later for our Learn at Home series as a continuation of his talk this afternoon. Muli maraming salamat at magandang araw sa ating lahat.